This is Checkmate Evolution, or Chivo for short, a game for Nintendo Switch, built around the genres of turn-based, strategy, and board game. This game is similar to chess, but with a few unique key mechanics. First, players draft the pieces they want to play with. Instead of the standard chess array of 8 pawns, 2 knights, 2 rooks, etc., players have 20 piece cost that they can spend any amount of in order to customize their army. So you can have 3 knights, you can only have 1 bishop, etc., etc. After drafting their armies, players then choose the starting locations of the pieces that they drafted. These must be within the first 3 rows of that player's side of the board, but they can go anywhere within that region. Then, once both players have decided on their starting locations, the game plays out like a normal chess game. Taking turns, players move 1 piece at a time in accordance with their predefined movement capabilities. However, when a piece is moved onto a space occupied by an opponent, instead of simply taking the space for themselves, the 2 pieces use RPG-like stats to fight over the contested square. Whichever piece wins the battle claims or remains on that space. Once a player's king has been defeated, the game is over.
Onto the project management side of things, we started with an initial design session to scope out our game. This was crucial as we didn't want to overscope and complicate the game early on, so we could spend time rounding it out, squashing bugs and complying to console requirements, which we haven't done before, so it would overall give us a nice finished product. We created a Trello with basic tasks that would complete our prototype and our finished game. Over the course of the development, tasks were added to reflect bugs, additions and console requirements. As an overall view, Sam made a Gantt chart as well to make sure we're on track for the deadline, and it allowed us to add in extra features such as AI if we're ahead of schedule. Hey, I'm Nadia. I worked on the main battle for Checkmate Evolution. This included the creation of the chessboard and partly for the spawning of the chess pieces on the board too. I worked on the capability of the player to be able to select pieces and showing the valid moves that the player can currently make, which results in a bunch of actions from the tweening of the pieces and potentially waiting for a battle to end to remove losing pieces as well. I worked on the lore of the game and the switching of turns and turning on and off player input, as well as checking when the game has ended, which moves swiftly onto our main responsibility of the game, which is the AI opponent that you'll be seeing now. I also worked on power-ups, the spawning of them, and implementing the actions once landed on. And to finish off, I worked on gathering in-game stats to show the players some cool stuff at the end of the game too.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm the Chief Data Manager for Checkmate Evolution project. I worked on the menu manager, which controlled all of the player choices, information and data between draft and placement phases of the game. I created a bespoke audio manager that worked off of a job-based system so we could easily track, manage and use sounds across all scenes from the use of a simple enum. This created a more streamlined system than some more out-of-the-box approaches to audio management in large-scale games. I also worked on swapping the project over to using addressables, or asset bundles as they were formerly known. This helped keep the data management low and also tick off some necessary CRCs for working with the Switch development console itself. I also worked on the player controller and how the players would join, log and interact with the game. This was on multiple systems. It was tested as well with Nintendo Switch controls, PC controls and also Xbox controller controls. I also took it upon myself to be the main one to test and work with the development kit itself, learn its quirks, niches and issues that were encountered to create a more streamlined way of building and testing the game itself.
So I primarily worked on the piece definitions and the battle system that happens when a piece moves into an opposing piece's territory. The pieces in this game had to not only be defined by their movement capabilities like standard chess, but they also needed their combat stats, their health, attack, defense, and speed to be added in alongside that. And then the battle system itself had to be implemented. So when does a battle start? What happens during a battle? How do we destroy the losing piece? And how do we make sure that we go from the kind of overall chess game into a battle and back again? As part of this system, I also worked on camera movement. So both the overview camera when you're out of combat, as well as the battle-centered combat camera. In addition to this, I also made a UI window that would give players some information about what to expect from a battle, called the Combat Forecast, which would essentially tell players how likely their piece was to win a battle before it starts.